Howdy, 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 howdy. Welcome to another edition of news in the off-roading and outdoor environment. Recently, GWM released the new Tank 300. But where does it fit into the 4x4 competition? So today we're going to look at the SUV, which show a lot of promise. And I think it's worth our while to see how it compares to the opposition. Price-wise, spec-wise, just a quick overview. Let's dive into it. Wherever you look is splashed all over with competition, advertising, and sharing the best car out there. And then if you look at all of this, you find yourself not knowing what to buy, why to buy, or what should you look at. And recently the Tank 300 got released. So let's have a look how it stack up with the rest. We're going to look at the pricing, how it compare with the competition price-wise. Then we're going to look at the power and fuel consumption, and then the dimensions. We're looking at the approach and departure angle, which is an important, very important factor when you off-road. Then we're also looking at ground clearance and wading depth. So let's have a look on the spec sheet of the tank itself. You get it in white, you get it in black, you get it in Mars red, and you get it in orange and gray. You get the Tank 300 in 4x4 Super Luxury, which is just a rear locker, 4x4 Ultra Luxury, which is a front locker included there, and then you get the Super Luxury, which includes the electrical motor. Your fuel consumption on all of them are the same, 9.5 liters per 100, except for the HEV, which is 8.4 liters per 100 claimed. Boot capacity, you look at 400 liters and 1,635 in length. Now today we're going to see how it stack up against the others. Top Auto made a brilliant article where the new GWM Tank 300 ranks in South Africa's tough 4x4 segment. What they did is they took the SUV market and they studied it, and they disregarded the price, and they took from all the SUVs more or less which it stack around, that you can have a comparison on the different car makers out there and the tank where it situates itself. So they took the Mahindra Scorpio N 2.2D, some nice pictures about the Mahindra Scorpio NZ8. Alright, then the bike B40 plus 2 liter TDI, some nice pictures of that. Also 2 liter turbo diesel. It can actually very nicely like the Jeep Toyota Fortuner. Also a new release, the new one now. Yeah, and then the Mitsubishi Pajero. Also a brilliant looking car, stunning. Looks very nice. And these cars all compared to each other. And then we get the Isuzu MU-X, which is a little bit more pricey. 3 liter turbo, diesel. How does it look on the rear there? Just get the rear there properly. It looks very conservative, I'd say. The Ford Everest is next. It looks very bulky. It looks huge. It looks massive. The Everest XLT 2 liter turbo diesel. A massive body with a 2 liter motor. Very curious to see how that stack up on power, on the rest of the best, or the best of the rest. The Jeep Wrangler, and then the Ineos Grenadier 3 liter turbo diesel. Let's see how they compare to each other on the pricing spec. Mahindra Scorpio comes in at 573,000. Bike B40 at 574. GWM 725,000. The Fortuner 2.4 GD6 733,000. Mitsubishi Pajero Sport is 855,000. Isuzu MU-X 930,000. 3,000. Ford Everest, 973,000. Jeep Wrangler, 1,020,000. Ineos Grenadier, 1.8 million bucks. Power wise, 110 kilowatt on the bike, 110 kilowatt with a Fortuner, but 400 Newton meters, which is in line with the Mahindra. Mitsubishi Pajero, 133 kilowatt. Isuzu MU-X, 140. The Ford Everest, 154. GWM Tank 300 at 162 kilowatt. Ford Everest with 500 Newton meters, which makes it a strong motor there. Then we look at dimensions and weight. So the shortest of them all, 4.645 millimeters, so it's 4.6 meters by 1.9 meters by 1.87 meters in height, but it's quite heavy at 2.1 tons. Then the Mahindra Scorpio comes in at 4.6 meters, 1.885 tons. GWM Tank come in at 4760, 1.903 millimeter high. Fortuner is 4795. It's not as wide as the tank. The tank is 1930, which makes it as wide as the Ineos Grenadier, but not as wide as the Ford Everest. So the Ford Everest is a huge vehicle. It's massive. And it also comes in at 2.3 tons, but it's not as heavy as the Ineos Grenadier, 2.718 kilos. Then approach and departure angles. Now these are important figures for off-road ability. And once again, the approach angle is first, 27.2 degrees. The Mahindra Scorpio is lowest with 27.2 degrees. Toyota Fortuner 2.4 at 29 degrees. Mitsubishi Pajero Sport at 30 degrees. Isuzu MU-X at 30 degrees. The Ford Everest at 30.4. GWM Tank comes in at 33 degrees. And the Jeep Wrangler at 35.2 degrees. Very impressive. The Ineos Grenadier at 36.2 degrees. And I am shocked to see that the bike B40 comes in at 37 degrees. Very impressive. Departure angles, Mahindra at 21.3 degrees, Fortuner at 25 degrees, Mitsubishi Pajero at 24.2, Isuzu MU-X at 26, Ford Everest at 23.3, GWM at a stunning 34 degrees. It's second best on the departure angle. The only one that beats it is the Ineos Grenadier, that's 36.1 degrees. Right, next coming up is the ground clearance and wading depth. Okay, ground clearance. The Mahindra Scorpio at 187 millimeters, and the GWM Tank, we're going to look at 224 millimeters. Bike at 210, Mitsubishi Pajero at 218, Ford Everest 220, Jeep Wrangler at 232, Isuzu MU-X 235, Ineos Grenadier 264, Toyota Fortuner at 279 millimeters. Water wading depth, Mitsubishi Pajero Sport, which is 700 millimeters. Ford Everest at 800 millimeters, the tank at 700 millimeters, 760 millimeters for the Jeep Wrangler, 800 millimeters for the MU-X, Ineos Grenadier likewise, and the Toyota Fortuner at 700. The bike at 600 millimeters and the Mahindra Scorpio at 500. With a 2-liter motor, I don't think it's stacking up too bad against its competition. Interior, I think it's a very luxurious motor vehicle. And you compare price-wise. Super luxury, which got the rear locker, you look at 725,950. And for a 50,000 more, you get the twin-locked ultra luxury 4x4. For 50,000, I think you actually get a better deal by buying the ultra luxury. Looking at the GWM Tank, I can tell you now in standard form, it's a stunning motor. Look at the interior that it got there. It's modern. I have no idea what the plastics is like, or it's decent stuff in there, but I think we should look into it. A modern grip on the gear lever, all-wheel drive system. You even got tire pressure monitoring units on the 4 tires. A decent camera setup there where you can see on the side, you can see on top. Napa leather seats on the 4x4 Ultra Luxury. Yeah, and that's what it looked like. You can see what the Ultra spec look inside, and then it got the LED lightings in front. It's a little bit bland for me on the front there, but it's not too bad. But I think this vehicle, all in all, the money value you put in compared to its competition, it stacks up very well. And based on one specific thing in South Africa, I'm very confident that you won't be able to fit the 2-liter motor in a taxi. So that's one thing to think of. So the GWM Tank, I suspect, is going to do great figures. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please share this video, and maybe see you at the Firebreak Trail the end of the month at the Volt 4x4. You have a good week. Cheers.